Okay, we're gonna get this Pamoja session started. Uh, my name is Kalimu Indesha, and I'm the MC for today. The brother originally who we wanted to be the MC, he had to work today. And that's like part of the nature of our organization. It's like made up of working people, especially so. You gotta go to the gig, you gotta go to the gig, so I'm filling in for him. But I told him, like, don't think that you're not gonna be MCing still. But at any rate, like I say, my name is Kalimu Indesha, and I'm the MC, and today's title or theme is Black Liberation, a New Generation. And what I'm gonna do, of course, is try to give a introduction to this thing here. Try to give like OBS's, perspective on this subject here, but we think it's a very important subject. And I was just talking to a few folks. I was saying, I wish there was some kind of way that I could modify this, so that it'll be more, entertaining or relevant to all these young people we got here. But then I was thinking back because I had reread, for, how many more times, like Malcolm's autobiography, and of course, he was talking about the things he remembered as he was, when he was a child, And then there are a number of, black leaders, African leaders, strugglers, who talk about things that they remember when they were children. So, on one hand, this is not geared towards the little ones that's here, but at the same time, it is about them because what we are talking about is the future. They are going to be the ones who are trying to grapple with these questions that we're dealing with now today. So, in that sense, it's good that they're here. So it makes it even more concrete because we're not talking about something that's abstract. We're talking about something that's very real. We're talking about the future of our people, and our youth. They, represent that continuum. So like I say, I'm gonna do an introductory kind of thing and then introduce the panel, which is made up of young activists. And I call them that because most of them, for the most part, they could be my sons or daughters. Now, some of them say, well, I just had a birthday, so, but nonetheless, the point of it all is like, all that I've gone through, they may, already have grasped a lot of the knowledge and wisdom that I, went through over the time I did, but still, there's a few other things that we want to pass on. But at the same time, like I was telling one of the panelists, I said, we need a two-way process. We need a thing whereby we listen to what's being said about our upcoming leaders, young leaders, on the one hand. On the other hand, we need to also say, okay, but what about this here? Because they talk about that, that generation gap. My thing is there is not really one because here we all are right here together today, different generations. But we just have to make sure we pass on, what needs to be passed on. And those of us like myself, I want to always have my ears open to make sure that fresh ideas, that I can receive those because I don't want to, ever find myself not being relevant to the struggle because when you stop being fresh, at that point you stop being relevant to the struggle. You just a piece that they can put in the museum, that maybe sometime might, be worth a lot of money, but right now, that's all. But at any rate, I want to welcome everybody that's here. especially the young people.
You want to appreciate it, brother.
And you know, we like to say Habari Ghani, you know, and the responses in Jama, and that's Kiswahili, you know, one of our African tongues, you know, that's the one that we choose to try to say, well, check this out, because it tends to be a non-tribal kind of language that most folks can relate to. But also you can say, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah, bo, you know, we can say, yeah, what's up, what's happening, you know, whatever it takes to make everybody feel, you know, that, hey, you're at home here today at the Pamoja session. I want to start off by laying out what I think is a, you know, very on the mark statement about black liberation, you know, before I then try to just lay out this little brief statement. The Black Liberation Movement, BLM, is merely an organized reflection of the black masses, and in a general sense, they are one and the same. It is a national democratic struggle for self-determination, land, political power, economic self-sufficiency, democracy, and equality. The spreading and dissemination among the black masses of this fact is the principal work of the most advanced forces in the Black Liberation Movement. That's a statement by Amiri Baraka, known to some people as Leroy Jones, a world-renowned cultural worker and revolutionary fighter for the people. Furthermore, one more, to be free, you have to be acutely aware of being a slave.
What's slave?
And that's
Never.
Asada Shakur. That is the statement that she made among the many, you know. So I just wanted to start off with some of the wisdom from folk who have been fighting for many years and who continue to fight, you know. And now, before we really get all the way out to this thing here, I want us just to take a moment, brief moment, to give our respect to, you know, our ancestors, elders, martyrs, all those who have come before us, who have made it possible for us to be here today. So we just want to have a moment of silence. Asante, thank you. I'm gonna make this statement here and then kind of move things forward here, because I know everybody anxiously awaiting to hear the panel and all them kind of things, as opposed to what I'm talking about. But I am your moderator, your MC. Black liberation, a new generation. As we move closer to the 21st century, we are continually told by the US white racist power structure through their mass media and their colored chocolate spokespersons, that black on black crime, drugs, teen pregnancy, gang violence, parental apathy, etc., are the burning questions of the day. These realities are undeniable, but their impact upon our future have been exaggerated to blind us to the root cause and causes of the problem and detract us from solutions. The above-mentioned problems exist within any movement, especially Black liberation movement, because they are breeded by conditions of racist oppression and exploitation. To address them as if they can be solved independent of Black liberation is to bog oneself down in the illusions of the U.S. illusions and promises of the fact that everybody's gonna have a job and they're gonna have 2 cars in their garage and a chicken in their pot. It's an American nightmare, we know better, you know? The Black liberation movement is an invincible force that has brought about many gains, advances, and victories, not only within the U.S., but throughout Africa and the Third World. There have been setbacks, detours, twists, and turns, and inherent lessons, but our main efforts must focus upon the continuation of building and moving forward based on that Black tradition and legacy. We must ensure that future generations of Black strugglers or would-be strugglers are armed with the most enlightened knowledge of our struggle. They are not only our future, but hold and have a key role to play in these present times. We're engaged in a day-to-day battle for the hearts and minds of a generation that must carry our struggle forward to ultimate victory. We must begin to arm them with the clarity and training necessary to carry on. We must not allow them to become victims of the pitfalls that have been historically thrown in our path towards progress. It is of paramount importance that they know what the requirements are for not only struggle, but for victory. We must make them know of the lessons and principles of organization and struggle that was passed on by some of our great leaders, such as Malcolm X, Amilcar Cabral, Ashada Shakur, to name a few. In spite of the gloom painted by our racist enemies and their colored lackey toms, we stand on a solid foundation passed on to us by those who know that we would not only keep the dream alive, but keep up the fight for consciousness, knowledge, unity, organization, until Black liberation is won. So that's like, the kind of statement we want to lay out there initially. But past that, I want to introduce the panel, and we're going to have them to lay out a little bit about themselves. Then we're going to I'm going to pose certain questions to them, so they can be about the business of sharing with us some of their ideas. And at the next point, we'll open up and get some feedback from the audience. But what I'll do is, we'll start to the furthest right end over here and come all the way over this way. Each person introduce themselves. And basically, I want people to first just lay out, a little bit about themselves. That is, who they are, how old they are, what their involvement is, what some of the influences have been upon their lives, so we can see those things. So that's like the initial kind of thing. And so we give each person a couple of minutes for that. So we'll start over on the far right. I'm not going to even give names. I'll let them introduce themselves totally.
I'd first like to ask our elder for permission to speak.
Yeah, Bob.
Thank you.
Well, but like, I guess most folks miss the significance of what he was trying to, do there. But I guess everybody here want to be your peer. No one wants to be your elder, so me. Okay, cool.
Assalamu alaikum and Barakatuh. My name is Sharif Shakir. I'm a member of OBS, Organization for Black Struggle. I'm a student at the University of Missouri St. Louis, also a student at Harris-Stowe State College.
Brother, so could you tell us how old you are and what have been some of the influences upon your life? Because see, we need to know, why it is you're in the struggle. See, at this point, so it's certain things that have influenced you to make it this point here. So that's why that introduction is necessary, so people can kind of see, okay, I see.
Well, coming from the environment in which I come from, I guess I began to parallel my life with those who came before us, such as the Malcolms and other people who came from the quote-unquote inner city. I began to make contacts with people who were in the struggle themselves, and they began to enlighten me on certain things, introducing me to certain books in which I saw myself and also saw the conditions that black people in America and black people throughout the rest of the world live under. And immediately it was almost a calling. It was a situation that took place, an incident that happened to me. Many people know about it already. That caused me to actually have time to sit back and read and really get to understand certain things. And as I was in the hospital, I stayed in the hospital for 6 months. As I was in the hospital, I began to get contacts with people who were in Islamic movements and also people who were in just the black liberation movement. Just the black liberation movement, period. And after getting out of the hospital, I don't know, I guess I began to just see my life as being something significant to black people, opposed to just moving around as America say, young black males should move around. Asante.
So brother, I think, what are you, 33 now?
Yeah.
Okay, he's 33 years old. Okay, good.
I'd like to greet you all. Assalamu alaikum and Barakani.
Islam and James.
James.
My name is Niambi, and basically where I got my start as far as being in the black liberation movement is just growing up in a very conscious household where I always knew that I was black and that was important and that I had a special role to play and where I fit in, and where what history has done to the black man and everything. So people you see around in the organization for black struggle have greatly helped me out, especially in getting my start. And I am a member of the Nation of Islam, and I also go to Harris-Stowe State College, and I'm 21. I'll be graduating in May 14th, 1994. And I say that because, time is definitely something that you learn to cherish and that you learn to try to use wisely. Because if you let time get away from you, I am learning that you can do a lot in a month, a day, and so you just always want to get together and always try to stay focused on what my role is in the movement. And I know that my place, although I probably can do all facets of the movement, but I really, my niche, where I'm coming from and going to, is teaching the young children, because I believe that that's where, like Colin was saying, how the children pick the stuff up very early in life, and I believe that. And that is just in coming, me working with my kindergartners at Emerson School. I have learned a lot, although I work with little children all my life, but just to be in the public school setting, I am learning, very early, like I was talking to my father, my mother, and everybody, how important it is just for little black children to know who they are. That's the first step to them even knowing what the black movement is all about. So I try to hopefully, be a facilitator and pass that on in that way to them.
Revolutionary greetings. My name is Asa Torre Asante. I am an organizer with the AAPRP, which is the All Africans People Revolutionary Party. I'm 28 years of age. I've been organizing with the party for approximately 3 years. I come from, like most of us in this room, a very morally and ethical background, that is household. My father is a Baptist preacher, and growing up in the house, I was always taught to respect my elders and my peers, and therefore myself. And just coming of age and thinking of what Malcolm X has told us in writings, that how the youth should think for themselves, hear for themselves, see for themselves. Even though raised with a very religious background, I still was missing something in life. I believe to give someone a God and not give them a cause or to champion right and wrong is kind of lacking in an area. So when I stumbled upon consciousness through, of course, via the people, it was a blessing to me. It was like really coming into the church, the feeling that people are espoused through different religious and spiritual endeavors and what have you not. This was an enlightening to myself, and it was very clear to me immediately what I must do and what we as a nation must do. But I am growing in consciousness, and I'm striving for self-consciousness, and I'm sure I will better myself as we, our people, shall better ourselves, and that's why we're here today. So it's very simply what brought me around to struggle, to conscious struggle, was the realities that exist today, and the understanding of that, and thinking of that for myself. I'm on a charge. I will lead my life like that for what time I do have remaining. And when I was told by Kalimo about this youth program, there was no hesitation. I definitely wanted to do it. We have a YPI chapter in the party, which is the Young Pioneers Institute. We definitely believe that the youth, along with the woman, is the most essential area of organization of our people. For, of course, if you organize the woman, you organize the nation. For the woman is all of our first teacher, whether she was your mother, your aunt, your grandmother, just, you know, that's just how it is, the reality of that. So we understand that it's very pertinent to organize the woman, organize the youth. This will ensure an organized nation. So I'm working on that charge, as all of us here are, and you know, forward in the struggle. Let's continue.
Right on, right on. Let's give a hand, you know. The information they've shared so far, you know, because for me, it's instructional. Now, I want to say that, you know, OBS, we've been around since 1980. And our organization was born out of struggle against oppressive conditions, you know, whether it's like economic exploitation or whether it be like the question of police brutality, you know, those kinds of things that, you know, it was born during the Reagan era. Everybody know about that, the budget cuts and all them kinds of things. So that is like the conditions under which, you know, our organization came about. But at the same time, a number of us who came together, we have been involved in the, you know, late 60s and 70s in various organizations, from, you know, the Congress of African People to the African Liberation Support Committee to the National Black Political Assembly to the National Black United Front, and have been involved with a lot of things, like not only locally but nationally, internationally. And that is like, you know, our school of thought and education kind of thing. Now, the reason why I'm raising it is because in talking to different people in recent times, like the generation that's coming up, I've sensed from some of them, I'm not saying from anybody on this panel, but I've sensed from some of them, it's like, well, okay, that's cool what you're talking about, but that's just your opinion. That's just your view, and mine is this, you know. Now, that's true. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a view. But at the same time, my concern is this, you know, the knowledge and experience that has been accumulated, say, you know, from the 60s up until now, which spanned 25, 30 years, should that be cast out? Or should we actually try to sum that up and pull from that which is positive and say, well, okay, this will work. This stuff here is like, no, kick that to the curb. I mean, you know, I get this sense from some of these young activists I be talking to. It's like, well, you know, well, this is how I think it should be done. And I mean, they be very steadfast about it, But what I want to do is try to, focus, the question and pose it to the panel, get them to answer it. Like, do you think that there is a need to study not only ancient Black and African history, which a lot of us, are into? You hear a lot of us quoting different things, in that regard. But do you see the importance of, like the history of the movement in this country as well as in this city? Is that important? As well as like, being on top of the current affairs, I mean, is that one of the requirements for the struggle? Do you see it that way? Of course I do, but like I say, we trying to address this to the panel to see how the panel feels about that question, because everybody here finally has an opinion. But is that question clear? Okay, we got some anxious responding. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go first.
I understand what Colleen was talking about. I believe that history is very important, just in living your life, and especially in any kind of movement, because you have to learn lessons from history so that you won't repeat it. And then there are some things from history that, that may cause for it to be repeated. If it's worked, then you want to use it so that, you can make your situation better. But I definitely think that you should look at history, review it, see how you can use it, and especially when you do that, you link the elder, people, you link people like Kalimu with yourself. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all know that he's, everybody here is young, really. But you get a chance to see more than one perspective, because when you think that it's new, what you're doing when you're coming up as a youth, but a lot of things do come from those who came before you. And I mean, when you can sit there and have enough wisdom or enough faith to sit there and take what they're giving you, take the guidance as just that, and use it, right along with them and talk with them, then to me that's a wiser political activist, or a wiser person, that's a youth that's out there in the movement. So I do believe that history is very important to at least look at and take from it, because if you isolate history and leave it behind, then you leave behind a great deal of people who were in history when it was being made. And I just think that, that is very important, because if you don't know your history, you may repeat some of the same old things. And if some of us didn't know about slavery, we already still in a state of that, but some of us didn't really know that. Just think of all the things we would not know, we would repeat it, because we wouldn't see the causes coming, we wouldn't see the effects of how it, we just wouldn't see anything, so we just let it sneak up on us.
It's interesting that you bring that point up, because I think a lot of the American socialization has a lot to do with us disrespecting our elders and really disconnecting ourselves with those teachers. I think when we should talk with people who have been around, because the principles and the foundation and the principles for liberation and the liberation struggle will never change. The tactics may change. The tactics should change. The tactics should change because the oppressor has changed. When the oppressor changed his tactics, we should change our tactics. But the foundation itself, and even the goal was liberation in 1555 or 1619, whichever you want to choose. But the goal was for liberation then. The goal is for liberation in 1994. I think we should sit down and speak with people who have been around, because those people who know and have the information that we need, and we must use.
I just want to ask Keenan right quick, I got a point. But, and also too, like say for instance, I might have this real neat new idea that I want to try out with children. And I'm not saying that nothing's wrong with new information, But let's say Tumaini or Jamala might want to say, well, I tried it that way, and then just from me going on what they're telling me as being to me experts and working, working with children, I'll say, okay, okay, maybe if I tried like this, thing, they're like a counsel for me, so I don't have to make the same mistakes and stuff, and I just think it is about communication, so.
Well, much was said there, and it really is a good analysis of that question and above. You must, of course, have a correct foundation to correctly understand your present condition. There is no doubt that we are slaves. We're slaves simply because our mother is not free. Our mother is the land that birthed us all, which is Africa. That home not being free, you will be a slave until that has occurred. And for some, they will still be slaves after that because they will have assessed petty bourgeois and bourgeois mentalities or oppressive mentalities, and they will carry this on. Not only different nations enslave the people, negativeness enslaves the people. We enslaved each other before Europe was seen. It was not nowhere am I trying to rational or help out Europe with their worst form of chattel slavery that history has ever seen. We know this. This is clear to us because we are students of history, and that's what the question. Historically sound individuals will come to a correct analysis of what must be done. You will have respect for yourself. You will have respect for your elders. You will love your nappy hair. You will love your dark skin. You will love everything about you because it is not coming from your oppressor's point of view. The winner of wars writes histories, and confused people will read those writings. When your history is stolen from you, this legacy is, you're like Marcus Garvey says, you're like a tree without roots. Any good gust or obstacle that comes along will push you over. And that is exactly what history is. It's the root, it's the foundation for all of us. And saying once again, once correctly understood, then you will correctly see your goal, which is liberation, which no liberation will be incurred without the land. So we know that that's primacy, that we must free ourselves by freeing our nation. And I think, this is personal, of course, I think all the nations in the world shall soon be free after Africa is free. Not saying Africa's freedom will secure everyone, is mandatory for everyone else to be free. Palestine or Israel can become free without that. But if Africa is freed first, it's such a staggering blow that will give on imperialism or the oppressors that go to other lands and steal it. The staggering effect that will do to them, that will crumble imperialism's grip on this whole sphere, on the whole globe, is what I'm saying. So the primacy of that, the most oppressed shall take that charge into their hands, and hopefully it will come in time. Hopefully you will live to see it. With the ridding of this oppression, you will rid oppression for humanity. So when you struggle for yourself, you struggle for the positiveness. You struggle for all. You struggle for all of humankind. You just don't struggle for your nation. But you must have the history of that in order to struggle correctly. If you don't, you might, Thurgood Marshall had very many achievements in this country. I was watching a PBS special earlier this afternoon. And I mean, everybody knows about some of the staggering things that brother did, but he was still a reformist. He was still unclear of many of things. So his intense struggle that he was doing, if a clear train of thought was seen, reform might not have been at the top of his mind, and liberation, true liberation would have. When you want to reform something, you are still telling your oppressor, I still love you. I want to hold on to you. The land you have stolen, yeah, I'll work to build it and make it better. It's our land. You're taking part of a theft yourself. Now you're a thief, okay? So that's just to say, history was denied that brother in a certain way, or consciousness anyway. I'm sure, as educated as he was, he had a good understanding of African history. But being an oppressive mindset, he could not clearly look at that. So when you're rearing these children here, we say we're doing this for the youth. And it's going to be clear that most of these young individuals will come up knowing their responsibilities, because they're raised in a conscious environment, in a conscious household. They will respect their elders abroad. They will respect their elders at the house. And there are thus another generation of struggles, of conscious struggles. We need to do that on a very, very large basis. So when some of the backwardsness that's in our people, that people are very hard to shun, reluctant to get rid of, this petty bourgeois mentality, or I want to be the next oppressor, the next slave driver. When that is done, when the generations say no more, it will be no more. The younger generations, that is. All we can do is try to give them the knowledge that our elders have given to us, and hope that we can speed up this cause and not have liberation on an evolutionary platform, which is in its own time, but in a revolutionary platform, which is speedy, quick to the point, precise. That's what we need. And a correct, my opinion, a correct analysis of history will definitely speed that up.
Okay, very good. I want to, first of all, get people on the panel to tell me what they think about this particular thing that Malcolm had to say for one. And I have a second part to that question there. It's still the same one, but Malcolm say like there are no conscious people who are not in an organization. It is people organized who are the true makers of history. You're either part of the solution or part of the problem. Each panelist, let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Now you can, just because Malcolm said it, you still got it.
Totally.
I agree because,
Okay, no, I just want you to agree right now.
okay.
Brother. Okay, so the second part of it is this. So then, that means that there are some of us who understand the need for organization, the superiority of organization over individuals, organization over individualism. We have a number of people who are not clear on that question. Some people think that, I hear this a lot of people saying, well, I'm struggling every day, brother, so, I ain't got no time to come to your Pamoja session. Okay, that's true. We all are struggling, but where does organization fit into that that particular process? So, I want the panel to address what they see as the importance of organization, and let me see if I can try to, shape it a little bit more. That is what's the message we should give to this generation of activists that's growing up now as far as the organization is concerned? Because it's some people that you hear people say, well, I go to meetings, I see the same faces, I don't hear no solutions, and all I hear is talk and this and that. That kind of cynicism is what you hear a lot of young activists or would-be activists saying nowadays. But what do we say to those folks as we talk about the importance of being within an organization? So we start at this end first.
Okay. I'm in total agreement with you, brother, about being organized as a people, organized as a nation. First, you must organize yourself to be effective and help your people. You must organize your nation nextly so that you may form coalitions to band with other nations and live in a harmonic setting. And of course, it will conclude with the organization of the world. That's a very, very large step, a very big pyramid to build. And you won't do it without self. Michael Jackson talking about, look at the man in the mirror, starting with the man in the mirror. Michael. but it was clear that point was a good point, though, he had. But it's very true. You start there, each one teach one, that one being self, then, well, of course you won't teach yourself. All is gained through the people. Knowledge comes via the created via the people. And it's just crucial to have a organizational outlook on how you will be organized, how you will organize yourself, bam, 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 what's next, because this will help speed up the goals you wish to reach. This will also help you in wherever your shortcomings are. If you are an organized individual, you have shortcomings in a certain area, you know where they are, you will work on them better. Our shortcoming as a people is unity. We have unity, and a lot of times unity of action, because we'll say a lot of things, and then when the ball game starts, we don't see everybody out there. The front line is jagged, picket fence. So it's very crucial to have that instead of an individualized thought that, like the brother said, oh, I got no slaves, I don't have time for that today. Those are realities. Living in capitalism, of course you will have to acquire you some assets, because nothing is given to you. Everything costs. So that's a given. But when you toil your life away to support a system which promises to suppress not only your next generation, their next generation, and the world, organization will help you see that that will only be overthrown with organization. In organizing oneself, and then in organizing your nation, then we will come together, form coalitions, and meet other positive forces. You know, I go to a lot of programs, I see Europeans and what have you not, and they go, well, I want to do this, and I want to do that. I have no problem with you working for the struggle. Kwame Ture told me himself personally that the European working class will play a very significant role in African revolution. That is to be looked at with numbers. And when I go to these Cuban and Haitian coalition and different programs, how many Europeans I see, and how much work I see different socialist organizations doing, I understand this to be the truth. And I tell them, I don't have a problem with that thing. You go organize your people. But that is your task. You organize your people, we'll organize our people. Then we will communicate with each other. When you are totally organized, you can make a phone call overnight and get some things done. When you're not, our people need to know what our views are on gun control, or what our views are on more police in the inner city. When you're not organized, you can't summon the thoughts and desires of the people at a whim. It will take you so long that your problem has increased exponentially. That is greater amounts of time before you have even gotten the old gist of what's going on from being disorganized. So organization is very crucial. Organization is a must. Organization starts with self. Organization comes from an organizational perspective, of course, then group yourself, unity of thought with others, and then going on from that group to the larger realm. It's moving smaller to larger as most things are built, and it's just, it's primary in making Africa or anywhere you wish to liberate primacy.
I agree with what the brother said. I do agree with what Brother Isa saying. And definitely, if anybody asks, you know, what I will, you know, I'm with myself, you know, I'm me by me, whatever, you know, statement that people are so into themselves. And it's true, you do have to work on yourself first. But sometimes, you know, when there's a problem, yourself, it may not be strong enough. That's like when if you're an alcoholic, you join a group most of the time to get yourself together. Because those people, it's strength in unity. It's strength in knowing that somebody else shares the same problem that I have. It's strength in knowing that you can get feedback from this person. Maybe if they had a similar, maybe they're at a different step, you know, where you haven't reached yet, or maybe they're still somewhere where you can help them out. So any kind of organization is powerful. And for a person, if you're so together, and you know, if you're so together, you believe me, you will not be alone. You will not be alone, because you will feel the need to want to get with somebody and pass it on. Because just to hoard that whatever you have, what kind of knowledge, to hoard whatever you have, wisdom, just to keep it for yourself, it won't do the people any good. So you're really not a true liberator if you just by yourself. A true liberator, a true person worried about the struggle and worried about the people, will get with the people and lead the people, or, get the people moving or something. But somebody who's just maybe to themselves and off on their own and being an individual, but nothing is wrong with that initially. But after a while, individualism can't go anywhere. Because I know, I remember a time when I was in school and they were talking about having the uniforms. And I was like, oh, I don't want no uniform for school, please, But it's power in even that suggestion of us wearing uniforms in school, because it can get rid of a lot of problems that are dealing with these colors and the games, and then jealousy. He got this, she got that, because you have the social stratospheres where you have people who don't have this, and mothers came before the uniforms. Now that's what's holding up the St. Louis public schools, and I'm just finding out. So I'm saying, well, what about fundraisers? There you go. Fundraisers, what does it take? Unity, people pulling together. So the problems are always going to be solved by people pulling together. And it's just something to see people that say, well, I'm working on myself, and this and that, and I'm getting myself together. But what happens after you get yourself together? Well, a lot of times those people are so caught up in getting themselves together that they don't even see the real focus of getting other people, and they just so caught up on themselves that they really can't see the power in getting other people that maybe can help them get themselves together quicker in a more, expedient way. So I know that there is strength in unity, and you have to belong to some kind of organization. Like I said, I don't care what kind of organization you belong to, as long as it's helping. And if you don't belong to anything, you are kind of part of the problem, because we can't recognize you. We don't even know how to identify you. Who are you with? Well, we want to know. I mean, if you with this person, at least we know this organization by its focus, what it puts out, what it says. But if you just by yourself and you don't really have any way of us knowing you, recognizing you, but when the time comes for us to get down and get together and start getting rid of the problem, you're going to be a part of the problem. We're going to say, well, hey, I don't have time to ask you then who you are when it's time to move out and get things going. I just have time to do what I have to do along with the rest of the people who organize with me. So yes, I do believe that.
I think the individual who questions the need for organization, who calls them self-conscious and question the needs of organization, needs to question his consciousness. It's interesting, we talked about the gangs. Well, in reality, you could take a gang, you could take one coward and he's scared to death. You could take a gang full of cowards and you can scare someone else to death. This is the power of organization. There's, as the old saying goes, there is strength in numbers. Once you can organize the people, you can move mountains. You can, for one thing, you can begin to perpetuate a single idea, the idea that the people came together upon. You can put into motion the practice and the ideas and the thoughts that the organization itself has to trying to push across. Organization is essential. It's hard to even speak of it because it's almost automatic that one individual by themselves can do nothing. But with the power of the people behind them, or the power of the group behind them, then they can move mountains. Simple as that. Asante.
A quick point, I was just sitting there thinking about it. The brother said we can move mountains. It's no doubt with the organization that literally people can move mountains. And everyone can think of our civil rights struggles during the 60s, and many civil rights struggles are still going on, but these I speak of are during the 60s. When Martin Luther King organized boycotts and sit-ins and walks, that brother and a lot of good brothers and sisters with him, if those brothers and sisters were not with him, if Martin Luther King walked down the street with a banner in his hand, as eloquent as a speaker he is, as strong as a motivator he is as a people, he'd have got beat upside his head. Not that he didn't, but he would have been just alone in a jail. No progress really would have been made from that. So they they in society like to give you Martin in such a martyr status, but it was the people who made those accomplishments possible at that time. It was the numbers that they showed what this man represented. He didn't represent just Martin and the church he was at in Atlanta and just his own feelings. He represented a nation of people that were showing they were willing to go through a lot, and we still are showing we're willing to go through a lot. But without that backing, he wouldn't have got respect. And without organization, you will not get respect. When you come and speak to the oppressor, you must bring some power, because that's the only thing power understands is other power. Power has never subsided to just humanity. No one has ever been taken out of bondage from a humanism. Oh, that's wrong, we should do this. I don't care what they tell you about Abraham Lincoln. It definitely wasn't because he thought Africans should just be free. Why this bill was signed in 1865 or what have you. That definitely was not the case. We all know that. You know, so organization is just a must. And without organization, you will not be able to flex that strength that you really have. And numbers give you that strength. You know, we just want to give that.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a couple more questions of the panel, and we're gonna turn around and then get the audience involved in this process here. I want to try to combine, a number of questions into one that I'm gonna ask, at this time. Brother Malcolm X, he talked about a number of things, and I think the thing I want to ask the panel is, why do you think Brother Malcolm talked about us uniting based on being black, as opposed to different kinds of religious beliefs? Why do you think that he said that, or even like, do you think that we can, is there any other basis that we can come together as a body of people? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because what I've found over the years is the fact that some of us, we may talk about this brother, this sister that's nationally renowned, whether we're talking about Kwame Ture, Minister Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, Bob Law, Mary Baraka, Angela Davis, so on and so forth. But I think all of us, and then there are different ones, as I mentioned those names, so different ones of us subscribe more so to one of those particular person's teachings and beliefs than to others, But the bottom line is that we all have to somehow be together, in one movement, the Black Liberation Movement, So, of course, I understand what Malcolm said, that, but I want to know if the panel understands that, and I only add from a personal experience, because I was at a program where they was taking on this very difficult task of discussing, how religion fits into the question of our struggle and stuff, and it was very interesting, But back to the question, more importantly, why you think Brother Malcolm point out that the main principle that we have to unite around is because we black more than anything else?
I love it.
Go on, brother.
I think why the brother stressed that is because through different lands, different cultures and subcultures that we've been subjected, we have a lot of different understandings of religion, and a lot of different aspirations aspirations in spirituality. And I don't think the brother wanted to negate any of his people because he knew we were all one people. I would read his speeches, and early in my days of reading Malcolm, I tripped off from using so many terms for the African, the Afro-American, the colored, the black, the Negro. And I later came to realize for myself that he simply didn't want to miss anybody. Whatever you wanted to label yourself, that was fine with him. For he knew that when he looked at you, oh, that was whatever you want to call yourself, because he knew you was family. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to miss nan one. And it was very simple to look at it that way. I think it was a good approach. Personally, I'm on that same approach myself. If you are involved in conscious struggle, that is the positive over the negative, you are involved, or you are on a divine crusade. You might not have an understanding of that. You might not be conscious of that right now. I know a brother who tells me he does not believe in God. But the brother is right there on the front line. I see him at a lot of programs. I see what he does and what he thinks. You know what I'm saying? I see his actions. And he is just not consciously aware yet that God is controlling his hand. It's as simple as that. The brother is out here rebuking Babylon. He's giving up a lot of progressions that if someone were submissive to the oppression, they could just go forth and have. But in his turning of that back, he just is not conscious to the fact that that's him rebuking Satan or Lucifer or whatever level of consciousness you wish to call this negative force. Positive over negative is the highest in spirituality. That is good over evil. And whatever culture you transcend into, from, out of, that should be your charge. And it's only two sides of the fence, positive and negative. You will make up your mind which side you will be on, either to fight for the positive, to do nothing, to say you're in the middle. You are on the negative side, because complacency, or one that sits and does nothing, sitting idle, that is working for the devil, or working for negativeness. So if you simply have seen the light, you see two sides, your actions dictate which side you're doing, you're on a divine charge. So you can, it was drawn to a little bit in there about a question of should it be on the religious front and then the nation front, and Malcolm didn't want to miss anybody. But, you know, that on the religious front, it's simple as that. You know, you might not have a term for your religion, and it might be, it might go higher than religion and go strictly to spirituality, because spirituality birthed all religions. That's simple. That's very simple. Positive over negative. Which side you're on will tell me anyway. I'll come to the understanding of calling you someone and walking in God's footsteps. Whether you call yourself an atheist, a Christian, a Muslim, whatever, whatever you want to call it. Thank you, brother. That's my point to that.
Next speaker.
Sister speak. Sister speak. Very pleasant.
Yes, sir.
Right, you know, the question, you know, why did, you know, Brother Malcolm try to, you know, emphasize that it's important for us to unite based on the fact that we're black as opposed to based on us being like this religious or this particular, you know, philosophical view, etc.
I think Brother Malcolm was addressing was trying to address the commonality among all of us, the commonality of either the origin of our thinking or the origin of our birth, which is Africa. Ensuring that basically, regardless of what philosophical differences, regardless of what religious differences, we all have the same problem. We all have the same oppressor. It's not only oppressing us on the continent of Africa, it's oppressing us here. Anywhere we try to hide, anywhere we try to run, we can run to a corner in England and the same oppressor will find us. And it will find us based on the origin of our ancestor or the color of our skin. It's there. So there's a common problem regardless, among all of us, regardless of what religious affiliation with what...
Well, you're saying, brother, that like, you know, you can't say, well, I'm a Catholic, my white brethren. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
But... I ain't get it. No, I'm saying that regardless of what I'm saying is just, we still have the same oppressor, regardless of where we go or what we think. We may even think that we're part of the oppressor. But that's only because of the oppression itself. So it's irregardless of whatever, it's still the same oppression anywhere we go, whatever we think, however we walk, however we talk, and even however we look. You can look white, and you still feel the same oppression from the white guy. That's all.
First of all, I know that I am a part of the struggle, and I know that my role is is one that's very important, and I know that I am a Muslim. But at the same time, I'm not going to question what anybody calls their God or anything, because I know that there is one God. He has a lot of names that people give to him, whatever. That's not my point. You know, if my point was to try to convert somebody or bring them over, I just would simply invite them out to the mosque, and that's where they can be taught. But my point is when I'm in the community and I'm out and about, I know that what Brother Malcolm X is saying is that that our blackness is a commonality that I don't care what anybody can deny, and we have the same history that has come before us that shape us to take us wherever we've gone, whatever religion, whatever person, whatever God we're declaring, but it's probably because of the same thing, that it's the same origin that we all share. That's that commonality that we just cannot escape, and that I would not even try to escape, but rather try to understand it. You know, that I know that I am black, and I know that we are oppressed, and that, you know, we are in a condition where we don't even know who we are. That's what we need to know first. You know, all the other stuff is just, that's fine and dandy, but we can come together knowing that we do have one purpose. And then after that, maybe that's the most appropriate time to talk about what's you know, then you can get on the question of religion, or what are you or what am I. And, well, all I see, when I see people, and I go into the classroom, when I see all the little children, I see their faces, I see little black children. I don't see children of Christians, children of Muslims. Because I'm there to teach them who they are by educating them, hopefully, you know, being a good role model for them. And then you can rise above all the little pettiness, you know, that a lot of people get stuck on. And it's like a stumbling block for them. And I tend to not look at it as a stumbling block. I tend to look at it as, you know, what I am. And Muslim, I see it as helping me to relate to people better, and to helping in the struggle. So that's where I see the importance of knowing that, hey, this is my brother, these are my sisters, these are my brothers. That's what I see. That same thing, that same stigma that's supposedly on us from the society or from the oppressor, you know, and that's what I see.
Okay.
All right. Okay, like at this point, I'm gonna open up and let the audience participate. Let the audience, you know, either ask questions of the panel, or you can make a statement. You know, we're gonna try to keep our questions. Let's make it just one, you know, brief question. And then from there, you know, brother man, ease up. You know, you're out of order. You're out of order. We must have order. Okay. But, you know, like I was saying, we're gonna open it up to the audience and, you know, allow people to ask questions or make statements. But we want everybody to get a chance to have their input into this, you know. And we'll let the panel hold back for now, you know, even though some people have something to say, but you'll have an opportunity to make your points and stuff like that. So, but it's important that the audience get involved. So this time,
I wanted to ask the panel. Well, I think
stand.
I think blacks are fantastic organizers. Unfortunately for us, sometimes it takes on the form of tribalism. My question is, how do we go about, how does the panel feel we go about reaching out to youth that were on that same sheet of music, that is just about our blackness? Because generally we have a tendency to organize to be Crips or to be Bloods or to be a specific religion or to be any specific thing that that, as I said, takes on the form of tribalism. So my question is, how do we overcome that and reach out to the youth in like a mass media form so that we get on that same common ground?
You know, it's interesting, brother, that even amongst those we people who call ourselves conscious, many of us lack understanding. And I think one of the things that we must begin to do is to study. Many of us do not study, so what we lack is an understanding of maybe the direction our youth will take, maybe the direction our youth need to take and what they may need. I think we need studying, but at the same time, I think we need to basically get on and as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, don't ask what needs to be done, just get out and do something. I think that we need to just get out and get busy. But at the same time, we must understand where the youth is, where are we ourselves. Am I as conscious as I think I am? You know, so I think that we must even begin to organize amongst older people or amongst other organizations. We must build some communication. What we must do is bring together a black consciousness, bring together a black community again, because there is no serious black community. There is no black community. And so we must bring a black community and begin to raise our children in that area. As the old West African saying goes, it takes a whole village to raise one child. We must work together to raise each one of our children.
I want to try to address your question. I know that there are 3 things that came to mind when you said that. My grandmother brought up to me 3 points that she said that you could never fail with this, Neami. So I was like, and when she said it kind of quick. I said, wait a minute, let me write this down, Grandma, so I could kind of say, you know, look at it again later. And she said that 3 things you got to have. 1 is common sense. 2 is good Lord on your side. And 3 is don't ever think you better than anybody. And I think that, I see what you're saying. A lot of tribalism tends to come in, you know, like I said, if that's the kind of organization that you're in, the moment it has the effects of tribalism, it's by those people believing in some way that they're better than somebody else. So you cannot think that because you might have a certain knowledge, or because you might have, you know, that you're better than anybody else. And I think that I don't want to speak as an expert or anything, because I'm anywhere from near that, but just from maybe how I feel about it is that when you talk about the games, you know, that's when you have to show them, you have to somehow be able to show them, I'm thinking some kind of commonality that you have, because when I can show children, even children in my classroom, when I can show them something to make them understand where, you know, that somehow we are linked, you know, and I can really somehow try to make that hit home, then they can at least leave with that impression. It may not happen just like that, but at least that impression is set with them, and that's on their mind, and I'll put it there. And if I say, well, you know, heck with games, you know, I'm a Muslim and I just deal with all that, you know, then I immediately put myself outside of the struggle and what needs to be done when I set myself aside from other people. But when I say, okay, well, here, if that's where he is, and I'm going to go reach him where he is and talk to him and not think that I'm better. And I think that a lot of us get caught in thinking that we are better than other people, or even the little gang members running around, we think that we better. And if we are truly have some qualities about us, then we'll find a way to make a link, I think, where they can, you know, where they can come to some kind of commonality that we have. Am I kind of answering it?
I guess my question is, how do we reach them en masse?
How we reach
Because
them
these are of course things that we all, you know,
I think that let's see.
In other words, it doesn't seem to be working. What else can we do? What else can we do to reach children en masse?
Well, like I said, I think I struggle with the same thing that you're asking. I struggle with that every day in seeing the little children in my classroom, because there's a little boy who's kindergarten, And he is very much, walking all like this, got a little earring in his hair, and he's like, he's a little blood and all that. Little children coming in with all the gang signs. But first of all, I think that it's appealing to them. You know what I'm saying? It's attractive to them. And I use this quick little point. Say for instance, as me being in the nation, and say if I have a daughter or just younger children coming up behind me, they may not want to wear the garment because it doesn't look beautiful to them. Or they might not want it because, I'm not down with that. That's ugly. You look like a mama hammer, or some kind of, with your head all tied funny and, stuff you wear. But if I put on something that looks good and I'm stepping out every time you see me, I'm looking good down with the fashion, but my head is still, then they say, oh, I want to make it just as attractive. I'm kind of competing because that's the reality. I am competing with that negative force that's out there, which is the game. So I have to give them, something else where they can choose and say, oh, well, I think I'm going to take that because that looks even better. And I think that we need to find more creative ways to make things more attractive to youth. And then eventually, they're going to choose, but I don't think we're doing a good job of making it attractive. I think we're making it like, okay, this is what we got to do. And I think that's why it's not working. Because they're seeing it like, oh, but man, lady for that, because I can say that because I'm only 21 and I'm nowhere near, seasoned and all that kind of stuff. But, I think that is important. We have to make it attractive to children because if it's not attractive, they're just not going to want it.
I'd like to address your question now. Two-parted question. Tribalism is seemingly in effect, and how do we bring about this unity, or how do we reach the children in mass, right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Firstly, about tribalism, of course it being dialectical like everything is, it has its positives, it has its negatives. Practically every nation that has written history, we can study it and see where they evolved from. Tribalism gives birth to collectivism, which gives birth to, and so forth. We're very communalist, collective, actually as socialists in principle, if you truly understand socialism. But the West will give it to you on another plate, of course. But it is really our history to have tribes but to know we are one. And tribes are nothing but people in different regions. People in California have different realities than the people in the Midwest live. They have a few seasons, we have all four. So in different areas, you'll have different types of approaches to things. It's the outlook, long that you know that all is a family and that you all are one. If colonization had not occurred on the continent of Africa, when it did, Africa was in the works of uniting itself. And Africa would be united by this point. If this backwards country could unite and have 50 states and call it a union, Africa surely would be united by this point if colonization never occurred. Of course, that's my opinion. But it was working to do this, using tribalism. Of course, your stronger tribes, your larger tribes, they spread messages. Hopefully, they do not do it in an oppressive manner, but knowing the flesh, this probably will happen on a large scale, But this unification will come through time, through that tribalism. And tribes may still have existed, but it would have been known to be one nation. Due to colonization, I think our outlook on tribalism was given a little negative spill because the oppressive propagation made it seem like we were against each other all the time. That when they came in, we loved them, but we didn't love each other. You know what I'm saying? Everybody on there knew they were family. You know what I'm saying? And Cape Verde and other Madagascar and other places that are preached. How do we reach the children in mass? It's no doubt that's going to take mass organization. There's no other way we can do it. There's no way we can press a button and just say the youth have the knowledge. We have to hit the streets and pump up the volume. The West, imperialism, colonialism, settler colonialism, all these other oppressive types going on, because you're really not fighting a color. Your oppressor can look just like you. If they're oppressing you, still gonna call them your oppressor. So these oppressive forces, they are out there propagating their message strong. They have our youth's minds wrapped up. video come on, the views as small as we've seen it today? No. But you can tell, give them a book, C.L.R. James, this, that, and the other, and oh, that's, I can't get with all that. I'm only a kid. They'll tell you that. You see what I'm saying? They know how to get out of it. Because the West has showed them what their priorities are. They have given them false priorities, see? So they're mass propagating our people to be backwards. So we know we got to mass propagate the reverse, which is the conscious message. And there's no way we can do it without mass organization. That's the only way it's going to happen. People got to take to the streets, and that each one teach one has to really be increased. Each one teach 10. We got a lot of backwards people pushing the wrong thing. And so when the time for armed struggle, and armed struggle is going on, but I mean overt armed struggle, you know what I'm saying, where it's outright aimed at the enemy, like in Zambia or South Africa. When that occurs, we ain't gonna have time, like the sister said earlier, to be asking people, what's up? Did you get that message? Did you, are you in, are you out? They out. You know what I'm saying? It's like when your Savior returns. Who all are saved and have lived their life accordingly are in the family. But if you say, oh wait, I was gonna do it tomorrow, then it's too late. You know, so they gotta go. So in order to beat that, having the power of our own people laid up with the oppressor, because it will be powers of them. You know, we got to mass organize those people so we can have more numbers on the side of the winning team, which will be the positive.
Gabo.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, okay, I believe that the main, you know, what the subject is today, I think that the main deterrent to black organization is the black family. And the fact that there are a lot of underlying economic underpinnings that are actually stimulating the fragmentation of the black family. Wouldn't our energies be more useful in trying to deal with those things as far as political and economic ramifications that are causing our communities, you know, our families basically to go the way they're going now?
You know, that's a good point, brother, because like even with teachers in the classroom, they have to do a lot of child rearing, you know, before they can even teach. I mean, you can teach 1 + 1 is 2, but you might have to teach a valuable life skill first before you can get to the math, because that foundation, you know, that very foundation is missing. And you know, I do believe that, you know, if we can just be good family members, and we can even just recognize and you know, and have that respect for ourselves and our family, a lot of the problems, like you said, will be, you know, immediately, like, can be overnight, just, you know, but then, like you said, like, I guess a lot of the gang members or other negative forces, they have their own little kind of families that they're, for whatever reason that the society, and I just think, you know, like you were saying, how, and you know, because we always do want we want actual, give me A, B, C, D, how I can follow to get this solution, you know, get the solution. And I think that it's missing by us not really understanding where the root of the problem is. And when you first have to see, you have to understand the root of the problem. Then you have the root of the problem. Then you can go on and you can say, okay, now we know the problem. Well, let's try to solve the problem. And a lot of people still don't even know the root of the problem, and they're still being a part of it. And it was this nice little, I think in the St. Louis American, Lester's World, you know, the comic. And he had, it was a picture of a brother with a gun, and he had just shot his other brother that was on the ground shot, and he had all these little captions in this little thing saying, I did it because he dissed me, I did it because I don't know, I did it because society, you know, I did it because I'm a black man and I'm beat by society, you know. It's just showing how a lot of us, you know, run around with these excuses on why we're behaving like we are, when we're really not taking blame or taking the responsibility of knowing just where I am in the problem. You know, I mean, I understand, and I know I'm not even going to say that black people are not oppressed and that we don't have an oppressor, but that's fine and dandy after you understand that and move that out the way. Now, what are you going to do to make the problem better. Don't keep on talking about Mr. Charlie and then done something to me, because we know we know. It's evident what Mr. Charlie has done. We don't have to keep on saying it over and over again unless we come with somebody who's ignorant though, and they just don't know. So I just think that we need to understand the root of the problem before we can even move anywhere. And that's why we have, things like these Pamoja sessions or, this panel, and hopefully, we can touch somebody here and you can go out and touch other people that you run into every day, because I don't run into the same people you may run into. So I can just, by being a positive force around people, I may begin to see changes. So.
Excuse me, I want to add to that, what type of, what can we do to stimulate family get-togethers, like sponsor,
Put it on,
family-oriented
sponsor it.
get-togethers, where families can get together, where we can learn to realize value and actually having that basic elemental organization, which is the family, 'cause I think that it all starts there first.
Yeah,
The
it
family.
does.
I'm in agreement with you, brother. It does start there first. But how will you bring together something that is not together? So before you bring something together, that is setting it, you got to make it. You don't set concrete without pouring this brick and making it and stuff. Putting sand, rocks together. That's right. So you got to get these things, the hierarchy first clear. And the hierarchy would be, like you were saying earlier, in the first part of that question, was the rebuilding of the black family, the unification of that, the ensuring that that is just what it says it is. And when we look at families throughout our history, we've had different setups of families, whereas it was maybe a few wives to a husband, or a few, and the other way has been practiced too in traditional Africa. It was for what was the most, it was for what was the most convenient. At times, there was not enough men to go around due to wars or poverty, and at other times it was more women than men because of probably the same thing. Whatever the case, we have different realities depending on what time it is. And right now we see a lot of single women families. You see what I'm saying? So we got to work at, we want to put that back together. Not that a woman cannot raise a child correctly, because we know that we can. We know that they can. All of our first teachers would, I won't say all, because that defies science, but predominantly, most of our first teachers was the woman. So we know that woman needs to be conscious, needs to be educated. That's primacy, And that will, a woman that is conscious and educated will demand her man be that way. And that she will make that man walk correct. Actually, she will make that man be what our culture decides is a family. You know what I'm saying? What we say is the family then will come into effect. Once we get that into effect, now we have these bringing them together and have other positive families with other positive families with other positive families, so that the use of these positive families see how this is set up and they repeat it. You see what I'm saying? So it sounds easy, and you say, well, if that's really, I can da-da-da-da-da and get that written down. Here's the solution to that, like a chemistry problem. But the enactment of it is where it's going to take work, where it's going to take, you say that's what's so, and work forward. That's the only way we'll come by that. There's no gimmick to bringing that back around, because there was no gimmick that it's in the condition that it is today. You know what I'm saying? That was orchestrated beautifully, if you can call that beautiful. It's a backwards type of beautifulness to it, but oppression is a science. You can look all around the globe, they might speak another language, they might look different or whatever. Oppression is a science, and the oppressed will act the same around this globe, because we're all animals. We're a higher form of animal, and we are gods in an effect. But I won't even go to that level on you right now. We talk about the family, you know what I'm saying? And we just we gotta put in the work. There's no shortcuts. We gotta put in the work.
It's funny you speak of black family without thinking of an idea of a black community, and we have an idea for a black family. I think what it's going to take is to organize the individuals. The black family and a black community, they're equally important. Same level, same scale. They're equally important because it's going to take each black family to make a black community, a strong black community. It's going to take a black community to hold together the black families. So what it's going to take is taken from the individuals and organizing them, placing the individuals in organizations where the individual can come back to their community, in their black family, and make a strong whole black nation.
I just want to briefly comment to the brother. I have to respectfully, I don't know if I heard it right or whatever, but I do think that, time is at hand. And all of these methods about going about getting the family together, the reality of it is we don't have time to sit down and, those things are going to be taken care of as far as, the solutions have already, to me, been given to people. And we already know that, we need to get the black family together and, we know that stuff. So that's why organizations, I think, are just going out and they just producing, things for black families to come to. And then we have to understand, too, the aspect of the extended black family, so it's not just the family that's going to be in the house now, because that's like shot. And if you spend your time trying to just, constantly get that little, you can't be, you won't be dipping into this family's business and that family is trying to say, okay, y'all, how we gonna get together? No, you're just going to offer them, once again, some other kind of alternative where they can come to and they can get that knowledge, get that teaching, where you got the masses all together instead of individually going about trying to rebuild and restructure. When we have, like when the Better Family Life have those, picnics, and when we have the rallies, all those things, we need to have those on a more, to me, continual basis. Not just, it's coming every year. I know every summer, every time in the park, I'm going to go over there and go to it. You want to see those things all the time, because when you can see those things all the time, it gives you reassurance that, hey, I can do something better. I can do something different. It's something for me to go to participate in. And I'll see those same people, because, it's some things I can go to, like the Kwanzaa Fair, and I can see people I haven't seen in a long time. But why only that time of the year? If we had those opportunities where people were willing to put those out there every time you turn around, you need, because if people don't have that kind of structure and things to flock to, idle mind is going to do something else. Idle mind is going to turn and say, hey, later for that. But if you give them something, where you have more of these family-based things, and people are going to, look, they're going to look forward to it. They're going to see what's good about it. They're going to say, oh, I might want to try to do that. But if they don't have enough of it there to even put the thought there, then they may be lost. That's what I think. So I think.
Now that she sort of answered my question, because I was thinking, how do you make positivity and righteousness attract to my question? But often more opportunities to get together.
Because I wish it was more opportunities. I wish it was something every week. Where I could see people and, even just getting together, seeing how was your week? How you doing? What's going on? And that's important. Whether we think so or not, that's important.
Okay, now, he has one comment, but what I'm ready to say is it's getting good, right? but it's like there's something called time-based conditions. So no problem, because but check this out, check this out. See, like I say, it's getting good, but see, it's another event that's going to take place here. So we got to start wrapping it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to give each panelist an opportunity, a couple of minutes, to basically give your closing statement for this part here. See, but it's going to be a part two. It's going to be a part two. You have to wait a little while, but it's going to be like it's going to be June 12th. We're going to have part two to this same discussion. Hopefully whether you're on the panel or not, you'll be back here, because then we got something to build on. We started talking about this, but we knew we weren't going to be able to get it all completed today. But we started it, and obviously it's something that people are interested in. So, because like I'm having to say, okay, hold it. So at this point, we want to, we'll let Sharif start first, give him a couple of minutes to, make his important point, and then as well as like your closing statement, give each person a chance to do that, because we have a few other things that we need to talk about, and then we got to move out the way, because it's like a program happening at 7 o'clock. It's a children's concert, which is, going to be happening at 7, so we want to get out the way.
Okay, well, for my closing statement is simply that we must take in our own hands to just begin to legitimize in our own thoughts. If we look around the world, we notice that this country suddenly became America. Palestine suddenly became Israel. South Africa suddenly, Zambia suddenly became South Africa because people said, this is how it is and this is how it's going to be. If we want to change anything, all we simply need to do is just say, it's changed, and anything else is something other, it does not exist. Simple as that.
My closing statement is very simple. That first of all, I just want to thank Pamoja. I want to just thank. I'm thankful for even being on the panel, because it shows, what my elders around me think of me, and that to me that's good feedback. And if ever I am able to talk to people, to let them know, how I'm working in the community or whatever, as far as where I stand in the liberation movement, and I don't have to say Black liberation movement because I know we know it's Black. So, but I'm just grateful for that opportunity to get to be able to talk, and I'm open for discussion, and I can talk anytime. So, that's all I really want to close on that point, and hopefully everybody have a beautiful week and everything. And so I'll see you all next time.
And myself in closing, I'd like to thank all the people that came out and the youths that are out and abroad right now. We know our youths come in and get a little antsy once the program is kicking off. And but that's beautiful, because in them organizing, struggling on that level, they will age, they will retain, their retention will get greater. And as the programs go on, we'll watch those heads come up higher in the pews, and they'll actually stay in there a little longer as well. And I'd like to thank OBS for inviting the All African People Revolutionary Party to come out and have some words at this program. I'm looking very forward to future programming of this sort, and we will better propagate it within our own organization so that we can bring some of our youth, some of our young pioneers from the YPI sector, and because they would love to get in on this conversation, and some of those little people, you have to really get them, because they start talking, you say, my goodness, this little girl got a lot to say. So I'm looking very forward to bringing out some of those things. I'd also like to thank the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, because in being a revolutionist and looking to overthrow the negative forces of the world with the positive forces of the world, I do respect the natural land governors of the area I'm in. I do know this is not my home, and it is not a white man or woman's home, that it is the red people's home. And I always make sure I thank them and give them pay homage to them for the use of the land and the resources here and what have you not. And to say forward in the struggle, and we'll do it.
Right on. We want to give a resounding round of applause for our panel, for ourselves. And I have a few announcements that I want to make, and I want to call Sister Carrie come up and do something for me. So she can start up here as I'm making these announcements. Our next Pamoja session is going to be the 6th of March. It's called Affirmations. And it's celebrating the lives and contribution of women in political, cultural, and spiritual way. That's going to be right here. There are leaflets out on the table. And speaking of women's program, African Women's Conference is going to be at Forest Park, March 18th and 19th. That's a Saturday and Sunday. Forest Park Community College, that is. Organize the Women, Organize the Nation. It is a call for women to organize themselves, help organize the nation. It's going to be in the Student Center. It's going to be from 6 to 9 on the Friday. That's the 18th, and from 10 to 6 p.m. on Saturday. This is the second annual African Women's Conference. And I have this here registration form if people want to get additional information, or if you can catch this brother here before he goes to his, as I hear folks call it in a while, to his slave. You can get more information from him, brother right here. So that's something that's happening. Then February 18th, from 11 to 12:30 p.m. and from 6 to 8 p.m. at Forest Park Community College in the Highlander Lounge. Kwame Ture, known to some people as Stokely Carmichael, he's going to speak on African youth and students in rebellion from St. Louis to Soweto, from Haiti to Somalia. So folk need to, partake of these different things that's happening, because this is all a part of us, being conscious people, and being conscious, then we ready to get into action, get, organized and things. Also, like, if you don't have a copy of it, we have like a 1994 schedule of events for OBS, which runs down the various activities we're going to be engaged in for the whole year. So those are out on the table too, so make sure you check out what's out there on the table. And I think those are most announcements. What I want to do is have sister come over here and do our, what we call movement power.
All right, Gary.
J-Mon.
We're going to end the session, Pamoja session, with the 7 Harambes. Money. Okay, if anyone would like to contribute to the Pamoja sessions, the OBS, we would be very grateful for your donations, contributions, or whatever you would like to contribute. We're going to pass the basket around and reach way down. Okay. I don't care if it's pennies, nickels, dimes, a quarter, dollars, fives, tens.
Very quiet money.
That we had this evening, I think they did a tremendous job. I think it's something very positive that we can look forward to know that we have brothers and sisters like this that are coming up that's going to be out there to help teach our younger ones some type of consciousness as they come up along in the struggle.
Oh, they have no money.
Okay, we're going to get everybody to stand up, please. And we're going to end the program with the 7 Harambes. Clench fist in the air. And when you say Harambe, you draw in, pull in. Okay, we can start. Harambe! 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 Harambe!
I'm just so happy.
Yes, that's right. We have to get everybody involved.